Hi, Jason, head coach of Southwest Swim here. I hope you are well and keeping healthy and fit and doing what you can to maintain that swim fitness and general fitness as you're going through the lockdown period. So this video here, I'm just going to mention something to start with which you may well have forgotten about, which is going to be quite important when we eventually come back into our pool sessions and lake sessions. But your kit bag. Simple as that, your kit bag. Have you cleaned your kit bag out? Or after your last swim session with us, did you just come in and chuck it to the side like my kids do? Okay, if the answer is I just chucked it to the side, my advice to you is after this video, go away, pick that kit bag up and dig it out and clear it out. Basically, you don't want to come back in 3 months and find your mouldy pair of trunks or a mouldy pool boy in there. So make sure you've dried that out and cleared it out. And for comedy effect, if any of our regular squad swimmers haven't done that and you find something really nasty in there, please do share the pictures. Send them over to me on email, jason@southwestswim.co.uk, and we'll share them anonymously if you like on our social media accounts as our bag clean out experiment. Okay, so yeah, clean your bags out, give everything a quick wash if you need to, like your kit bags and your swim bags. Just put them in with some detergent on a hand wash and get them all freshened up. Now that's as far as my domestic goddess skills go. Okay, so I'm not going to recommend anything else, as I have to ask my wife what I can put in the washing machine with something else. So I'll leave that part there, but yeah, if you find anything nasty, please do send it over to us so we can have a little anonymous giggle at that. Okay, so I'm going to use the rest of this video to just talk about swim kit and the basics that you would need to swim. Okay, and also the swim tools that we recommend at Southwest Swim if you were going to come to one of our squad sessions or to further your swimming after a one-to-one video analysis or one-to-one session. Okay, so we're going to talk through that. Now, swimming is a great sport where you only need really 2 items, a pair of trunks and a pair of goggles. And if you're a leisure swimmer in the open water, you just need a costume basically, because that's that. Okay, so we're going to run through those items for you and give you a little explanation of what each one will do. So first and foremost, to save any embarrassment, your good old swimming costume. And here we have our funky Finis branded Southwest Swim costumes. All of the stuff we're going to show you is available in our online store or the app if you're a regular swimmer with us. But get yourself a good quality costume. Ladies are a bit harder. I know my wife's very fussy about which sort of costume cut she likes. Gents, you've got a choice of Speedos or jammers. Easy as that. So we're lucky, okay? But get yourself a good swimming costume. Now, if said swimming costume has been at the bottom of your bag, you may need to give that a good wash. What I would recommend is only put that through a hand wash cycle with a very small amount of detergent. Normally with swim costumes, to prolong the life of them, we recommend after you get out of a pool or the lake, just rinse them in fresh water, leave them to dry. They don't need to go in the cycle of your washing machine. That will shorten the life of them, possibly shrink them, depending on the material. If you're a club swimmer, you should know by now, if you've got race skins, they don't go anywhere near anything but fresh water afterwards and drying flat, because you don't want your parents to be spending £200, £300, £400 on a pair of trunks and then being wrecked because they've gone in your wash basket. Okay, but no, in general, just give those trunks a rinse out. If they have gone a bit smelly, you have left them in your bag, hand wash in your machine, a little bit of detergent, and that should freshen everything up for you. But certainly don't use anything on there. But my recommendation is just rinse them off as you go. The second item that you will need, pair of goggles. So goggles come in different varieties. I've found from personal experience that goggles are basically, if you get a recommendation from a friend for a pair of goggles, don't believe it's gospel that they are going to work for you. I have wasted hundreds of pounds on goggles in the previous years just trying them out. They may fit in the shop, or when you try them, you try your friends on, but always try them in the water. They may fit on dry land, but when you get in the water, you might find they leak just because they don't fit your face. So we stock the Finis range and the Zone 3 range of goggles. Anti-fog, it will last you 3 to 4 weeks, in my honest opinion. Anti-fog coating is not a permanent solution for your goggles not fogging up. So just be aware of that. Anti-fog is not going to last you a lifetime, so that your goggles will steam up. So it's there. If you're lucky enough to be able to get a pair of goggles every month, then that's fine, but we're not all in that position. But yeah, anti-fog, and we get a lot of questions about anti-fog. It's not, in most cases, going to last you forever. Alright, so just be aware of that. So they're the two basics we need: trunks, goggles. Easy as that. But swim hat. So here's our funky Southwest Swim one with a new design, swim hats. So if you're a lady with long hair, your pool may insist you wear a swim hat. I would say it's better for you to wear swim hats. Gents, if you've got short hair, like my lockdown cut here, which is shorter than usual, you might get away with not using a hat as well. Swimming pools may insist on you wearing a hat, just for hygiene reasons, and it makes the pool cleaner, basically stops the hair falling out and clogging the filters. So you might find your pool insists on you wearing a hat. But my biggest advice for you is, if you are training for an open water event or a triathlon event, get used to swimming with a hat. It can be a bit of a different feel. It might feel awkward at first, but you'll get used to it. In open water, a hat is, in my opinion, a must, because heat escapes from the head. You are putting your hat on, that's going to keep you warmer. It's as simple as that, okay? If it's very cold water, you might want to wear 2 hats, so double capping. If it's really cold water, you can get neoprene caps, which go on first, and then excuse me, and then the silicone or latex hat goes on afterwards. Silicone hats are a lot thicker and a lot warmer. Latex hats are the kind of hats that you get at events, and they don't last forever. They break quite easily if you're not careful. So we're down to that's our 3 basics. Okay, 3 basic things to swim: costume, hat, goggles. Easy as that. So swimming, like I said, swimming's a great sport. You just get in and do it. You don't need an expensive bike or spending a fortune on things to be able to enjoy a swim. But what if you wanted to improve your swimming, and by means of drills and swimming kit, as in toys, as a lot of people call them? So if you were coming to a Southwest Swim squad session, we would recommend that you get 3 basic items of kit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and the first one would be a pool buoy. Okay, so pool buoy, we have the finished range. This is the Axis buoy. You notice it's got some holes in. The ideal thing with this buoy is you can wear that round your ankles, or in the traditional sense between the legs, high up on the thigh. Okay, this is the traditional buoy here, and that's just designed really to be held between the thighs easily. If you're doing any buoy ankle work, so if you're putting this around the ankles, that will improve and help the core, and it's a really good way of building up, and you'll see a lot of more proficient swimmers using the buoy in that way. The downside to wearing a buoy here on the ankle is that you need to tense up in a way to keep that together. Unless you're using a band to tie your legs together, you'll need to tense up, so your legs become very stiff. When you're swimming, you want to be as relaxed as possible. So doing that can actually hinder and sink your legs more and make your lower back a little bit tighter. So if you were going to be looking at this for the long term, I would definitely recommend spending extra money on an Axis buoy. The reason being, I have my hands on my ankles. Okay, I can go through here. So these are my feet, and as I'm swimming, it allows me to still rotate, and my legs can be very relaxed, and I can continue on with my swim in a relaxed way. So definitely an Axis buoy will give you much more scope for building as you go through. Okay, so that's our first bit of kit. Why do we use a pool buoy? Several reasons. We can use pool buoy and paddles, so we're isolating the upper body basically with a pool buoy, because you don't kick. Okay, so we can use pool buoy and paddles to really focus on that good stroke, just knocked everything in the pool. A good stroke catch, entry, you can really get to grips with that experience, and it just takes the legs away and adds that buoyancy for you. Or we use them for our sculling, so again isolating the legs, so that if I'm doing a skull exercise like so, this is skull 1 drill, and I'm moving forwards, I know I'm probably doing it right. If I were to take the buoy off and do my sculling drill, it then becomes more of a 60-40 drill, so 60% front end, 40 at the back. I could, for example, scull totally incorrectly and do this, which if it were a pull buoy, I would go backwards. If I was kicking my legs, I may well still be going forwards, and I would never feel that that drill is incorrect and not actually helping me. So definitely have a pull buoy in your kit bag. Our second thing, a pair of paddles. We do paddle work for technique. We do not use paddles in our sessions for power. We always recommend that you buy a paddle which can fall off your hand easily, or use your existing paddles in that way. So, for example, I'll start with the Finniss Freestyler paddle here. Okay, you notice it's only got one strap. My middle finger goes through there. If I do anything drastically wrong in my stroke, this paddle is going to fall off, or it's going to feed back to me that I'm doing something incorrectly in my stroke. So the Finniss Freestyler paddle is ideal for those who have got either a wide entry or a crossover entry. Okay, this is an alignment paddle first and foremost, and is the way we use it. It's got a rudder on the bottom, so you can see that there. And when I put that on my hand, you can see that my middle finger aligns with the point of the paddle here. So our middle finger always wants to be on entry in line with our shoulder here. So a crossover is effectively when someone's coming in and they're crossing over here. That's quite an extreme example. So the paddle, what I'm looking at is that point of the paddle here driving forwards in line with my shoulder as I enter the water. With these paddles here, I also don't hold them. I don't have them like this. My hand is very flat on the paddle. If you hold the paddle, it takes away how the paddle is going to work for you. Okay? Because if you don't hold it, that water is going to follow that rudder and it's going to become a bit unstable on your hand, or again fall off. So if you've got issues in your front of a stroke where you're looking at getting a fingertips first entry, or trying to break that crossover or wide entry and become a bit more central and aligned, that's the paddle for use on that one. This paddle can also help with the back end of a stroke, because if you exit too early or in the wrong manner, the water catches here, pulls the paddle that way, and the paddle comes off your hand. Okay, so these have been known to be called the paddles of doom from some of my swimmers with those faults, because they fall off and they feel a little bit strange. But they're also self-learning paddles, because you only do those mistakes a few times before you start to think about your stroke and how you can keep that paddle on, and what you're doing wrong and what you need to do correctly. Okay, so that's our first paddle. Our second paddle is the Finniss Agility paddle here. This has no straps. You see a hole there, my thumb goes through that hole, and that's how it's held on. Simple as that, it comes loose. So water pressure keeps this paddle on. Simple as that. So this paddle is used for developing a good catch under the water. As you come through the water here, you enter the water, there, you tip the wrist, and you're aiming to get that bent elbow and pressing back. If I were to slip back in my stroke, that paddle is going to come off. The water's going to get caught underneath the paddle and it's going to pull the paddle off, or at least it's not going to give you that feedback. So there are two paddles that we would recommend for our sessions. The third item of swim kit which we would recommend is a pair of fins. Fins come in two different varieties. You've got your long blade fin here and a shorter blade fin here. Okay, the blades on these are roughly the same size because they're different size of fins basically. Longer blade fins, advantages. If you've got stiff ankles, these will naturally loosen those ankles because you've got a lot more surface area here, which will aid flexion coming backwards in your actual leg kick. Okay, these will power you along a lot more than a shorter blade fin, and your leg kick will naturally slow down because you're pressing more water. The Finniss floating fins and longer blade fins are what we'd recommend for most people, mainly because of those points I mentioned, getting a good ankle flexibility. And we generally use fins for a lot of our front end and rotation drills, such as kick on side, 616. So we want to be focusing on the front end without worrying about really kicking our legs as we go through the drill. So this will drive us forward, and we can generally focus a lot more on our upper body and what our arms are doing, what our rotation's feeling, with these longer blade fins. Okay. Danger with some of these is when you first start to wear them, you may cramp up in the ankle or the back of the leg, or even the arch of the foot. And that's simply because you're not used to being in that position of pointing your toes and making yourself as long as possible. Okay, so that's our first option. These are the ones we'd recommend for the majority of people. And we come to our short blade fins. So short blade fins are ideal for club swimmers. Reason being, the blade is much shorter. So on these ones, this is where my toes would be. So this is in effect the actual blade of the kit. These are Finis Zuma Gold Z2s. They're the ones we'd recommend if you're going for shorter blade fins. The reason they're better for club swimmers are generally swimming shorter distances, so using a higher ratio of leg kick in their swimming. These will allow the swimmer to kick at very roughly the same rate as they would do without fins. So that's why we'd recommend those. For adult triathletes and open water swimmers, if you're constantly cramping with the longer blade fins and you're finding them uncomfortable, then you may need to switch to these ones as well. Okay, so that's our 3 bits of kit for actual swim kit, which we swim toys, pool buoy, paddles, and fins. Okay, so paddles wise, pick the paddles that best reflect your current stroke faults. So if you've got a crossover, go for the freestyler. If you want to develop that catch and pull, go for the agility paddles. Eventually you'll probably be best with both in your bag. So that's an option as well, getting both and just using them for the different focuses of the drills and your swims. But definitely, if you're only going to get 1 pair of paddles, look at those with that advice of which ones you need on there for you. We have 2 additional bits of kit which we recommend our swimmers in Southwest Swim Squads have. These are totally optional. So, the most underrated bit of kit in the world, in my opinion, is the good old centre snorkel here. Okay, so this centre snorkel, you've got a nice headband here, comes through, and it just attaches around the head, just like it would a pair of goggles. Why would we use a centre snorkel? Lots of different reasons. If you're doing streamline kick drill, for example, you don't need to worry about bringing your head up to breathe. You can just get into that nice streamline kick position and hit the whole length without worrying about coming up to take a breath. The same with our sculling drills. Sculls you can do with your head out or your head in. Personally, I do my sculling drills, all of them, with a centre snorkel. My head's down, I just crack on and do it, and I don't have to worry about my breathing, coming up for air, and I can just really focus on the movement of the drill. And thirdly, if you're doing any work where you're really focusing on that catch and pull, again, centre snorkel, and you can crack on and do that with your pool buoy and paddles or no kit. But what that enables you to do, when we breathe, that's generally where a fault will come in. So a crossover, for example, if I'm breathing to my right, my hand may come over here, and that's where my crossover occurs. So if I'm working on that, a centre snorkel is ideal to really get a focus on that middle finger shooting straight in front of the shoulder as we go through the stroke. So I love a good old centre snorkel. I say one of the most underrated bits of kit in the world. One tip, a very big tip actually, I would give to you when using a centre snorkel, keep your breathing pattern the same as it would be if you weren't using it. And what I mean by that, if you breathe every 3, still breathe in through the snorkel on that 3rd stroke, and then breathe out as you go through on the rest of the strokes. You may get water up your nose with using a snorkel. You may get used to that. My tip there is breathe in through the snorkel, breathe out through your nose. That should ease it. Try and avoid a nose clip wherever you can, because it takes away one of the holes you can use for breathing, basically. But you may need one, in all honesty. So if that is still uncomfortable, then you may need a nose clip to use a snorkel effectively. My other tip to finish off with a snorkel: don't overuse it. Don't overuse any of the bits of kit that I've shown you. Overusing the snorkel, if you wear the snorkel all the time, what you may find is you start lacking the rotation and you start experiencing problems when you're rotating to breathe. With a pool buoy will give you a very similar buoyancy level to a wetsuit. So a lot of swimmers who have got very sinky legs just think, well, I'm swimming in a wetsuit, I'll just chuck a pool buoy on. Okay? Don't overuse a pool buoy. one of the biggest mistakes. The same with fins. If you're powering your legs from the back, don't just put a bit of kit on to disguise a fault in your stroke. Still work on your actual stroke technique without those bits of kit as well. You don't want to become reliant on it. Pool buoy example. I'm using a pool buoy to train in the pool. I'm using a wetsuit to train in the lake. I'm going to a hot country to do my Ironman. It's a non-wetsuit swim. You don't want to be in that situation where you're worried that you're not going to be able to get through the swim just because you've trained, without using your legs. You can't use those bits of kit, can't fall back on them in an event. Okay, so that's our fourth piece of kit there. And last but not least, this thing, the good old Finis Tempo Trainer. Okay, this is a number of things in there. You can use it for your CSS based sets or your critical swim speed, so to improve your pacing. For example, if my CSS pace is 2 minutes in a 25 meter pool, I would set this to 30 seconds if I wanted to swim at CSS, and every 30 seconds it would beep. So every 30 seconds I want to be ensuring that I'm touching or kicking away from the end. Okay, so it's going to work nice even pacing. CSS, by the way, stands for critical swim speed. We won't cover it in this video, but it's effectively your average your threshold pace over 1500 meters, which you should theoretically be able to hold. Okay, we could also use this for stroke rate. So if you know your stroke rate, 68 strokes a minute, you can set this onto mode 3 and set it to 68, and that will beep in that pattern of 68 strokes a minute. So as it beeps, you know your hand should be entering the water on the beep. Okay, and that builds a nice sense of rhythm into our stroke. If I'm training for a long event, I do all of my training in open water to stroke rate. It doesn't guarantee a set pace or time, but what it does do is it introduces rhythm into my stroke. Okay, so that's about it for our kit. So, the very basic level, you need a pair of goggles and a pair of trunks or a costume. Add a hat to it. These Tempo trainers, by the way, are worn under a hat in the best way, so you can hear the beep. So if you need a Tempo trainer, you're going to have to wear a hat to make it effective. And then we move on to our swim toys, so the basics: pool buoy, paddles, fins, and our optional extras, which are very worthwhile having, are basically your centre snorkel and your Finis Tempo trainer. And I'll leave you with one last thought. Finis are a very popular brand, especially with our squad swimmers, because we sell it and obviously the swimmers purchase it from ourselves. So you might find the whole lane has got a similar kit to you. In this lockdown period, once you've cleaned out your bags and you've got everything rinsed off and washed, grab yourself a permanent marker and write your name on your kit. It will save you many pounds in the long run when you lose kit or mislay it, and it allows your coach on poolside or other swimmers to identify what is theirs and what is not. Write everything write your name on everything that you have. Okay, so that will help with that. Until next time, I will see you soon. Bye bye.